I now request Professor Dr. Vijay Khare, Head, Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, to welcome the audience.
A very good morning, respected Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SM, VSM, Lieutenant General A.K. Ramesh, Commandant College of CME, Commandant Military College of Engineering, Vice Admiral Ajay Kochar, AVSM, NM, Commandant National Defence Academy, Sri Jaydevji Ranade, President, Center for China Analysis and Strategy, Air Marshal Bhushan Gokhale, PVSM, AVSM, VM, Director, Center for Advanced Strategic Studies, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Suresh Gosavi, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Parag Kalkar, very eminent scholars in the August House, respected all decorated officers, my colleagues, representative from electronic and print media, invited chairpersons, speakers, especially our foreign friends, dear students and colleagues. I would like to welcome all experts, particularly who comes from different part of the country. On behalf of Savitribai Phule Pune University, I welcome to each one. I am very happy today we are going to inaugurate third strategic dialogue on emergence of China and its implication on global security environment or global world. This strategic dialogue we have started from last 3 years, and this is the third strategic dialogue we are going to have it. Before that, let me just give a background of the department. Department of Defense and Strategic Studies was established after 1962 war with China in 1963. The idea of establishing the department to the layman, particularly young generation, must understand what kind of threats we have, how to understand, conceptualize security issues. And Savitribai Phule Pune University established Department of Military History initially. Then in 80s, it was converted in Defense Studies, and then 90s, again, it has extended Defense and Strategic Studies. So this department is not just only focusing on understanding military issue or defense studies issue, also strategic issues. I'm very happy that this is one of the best learning center in the country where large number of decorated army officers from the Indian Air Force are part of the department. At presently, we have 3 Chair of Excellence sponsored by Indian Army, Indian Air Force, and now we are also looking forward from Indian Navy. In 1994, first kind of Chair of Excellence was established by Indian Army to recall the memory of General B.C. Joshi. He was initiated this idea, and in fact, this is the only university we have put the name of the general in one university gate, and when His Excellency Means the Honorable General Chauhan entered in the site, the name of the gate is the General B.C. Joshi Gate. I'm very happy that in 1994 onwards, Department of Defense and Strategic Studies doing excellent work. In fact, recently, in 2020, there was a call for sponsoring the Chair of Excellence in the Indian military history, and we, myself, represented, were interviewed, and we got a 2 crore grant from Ministry of Defense, and this is the first kind of department which is dedicated study is going on understanding carry out the Indian military history. Then before that, Indian Air Force initiated the idea that we need to establish a chair of excellence in the name of Marshal of the Air Force, Air Marshal Arjun Singh, and we also interviewed and we got another chair from Indian Air Force. I am very happy, sir. This department is not only having an interaction with the Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, Indian Army, but at the same time we have conducting a different courses which were different. In fact, this department has a master degree in MAMS in Defense and Strategic Studies. Every year, Indian Army is sending around 20 Army officers above the rank of Colonel and Brigadier. They are with us. Some of them are doing independent research. Some of them are working. They are getting a master degree. And whatever they do research, we are sending to the MOD for the policy of options, whatever their recommendation comes, and that is a dedicated work they are submitting in the department. I am also happy that this department is also conducting new courses, particularly to understand geopolitics and military geography. We are going to start new course in next year, that is a master program in geopolitics and international relations, undergraduate program in fire integrated geopolitics and international relations, as well as to considering the nature and understanding of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Very few policy makers aware about the understanding of what kind of strategic thinking he has developed. So we have first department in the country. Initially we come up with the postgraduate diploma in Chhatrapati Maharaj vision and nation building, and now we are going to convert that PG diploma into the master program, which is going to sponsored by Government of Maharashtra, as well as Savitribai Phule Pune University is going to contribute in that. I am very happy, sir. We have large number of students. When initially started the department activity in 2017, their total number of the students are around 40, but now we have extended 11 postgraduate diploma and few master program, and total strength is around 400. Some of the courses online and offline. This is one of the best learning center not only in Maharashtra but in the country, and I'm trying to convert this department is one of the best center of learning in it. It's not only in India but in South Asia. So I'm very happy, sir. You have given a time to us. Our student, our faculty is willingly interact with you, as well as welcoming you. Once again, I welcome each one for going to attend this program. This is the third strategic dialogue. First strategic dialogue we had in 2022, and that time Mr. Peter Riemele, former resident representative of India to Konrad Adenauer, Germany, he inaugurated the first strategic dialogue. The second strategic dialogue, Chief of General Manoj Pandey, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, ADC, and Chief of Army Staff, he inaugurated second strategic dialogue. And today, sir, you are going to inaugurate third strategic dialogue on China. I am very happy to welcome once again on behalf of Savitribai Phule Pune University. My understanding about this topic after US election, if you understand that China, after coming US election, entire geopolitics, entire international security environment is going to shift after US election, and a lot of happening is going on. And in the changing nature of global security environment, each one must understand where will be a China, where will be India, and what kind of our strategy should be focused. And in that context, we organized this dialogue. Very eminent scholars, very eminent speakers we have invited. Some of them are also going to speak online. And all this event is open for across our university affiliated colleges student also. So I'm very happy that around 5 to 6 lakh students are also watching this event online, and we have make it on website, and this message is going to not only in Indian student or Savitribai Phule University, but this message is going to everyone. So with this word, once again, thanks for giving your valuable time. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. May I now request Air Marshal Bhushan Gokhale, retired, PVSM, AVSM, VM, Director of Center for Advanced Strategic Studies, Pune, to address the August gathering.
Good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Respected Vice Chancellor, respected Pro-Vice Chancellor, for us three organizations who are doing this strategic dialogue for the third year, led by Sri Jaidev Ranade, Dr. Khare and the Center for Advanced Strategic Studies, it's indeed a privilege that we have with us the Chief of Defence Staff, who will be giving us the inaugural address shortly. Thank you very much for coming all the way from Delhi this morning and being here in the university. Incidentally, university is celebrating 75th year, so I think that's another landmark, and we would be really happy that you are here for this dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also glad to mention to you that a large number of students are sitting behind, which is a very healthy sign, because rise of China, I think, is something that all of us are worried about. On the 3rd of May, 1998, just a few days after the departure of Chinese Defense Minister General Fu Honghui from China and his delegation, Mr. George Fernandez, then the Minister of Defense, declared China as threat number one. Some, of course, read it as enemy number one. He also mentioned that Chinese are not only helping Pakistan, but also interfering in many neighboring countries of India and in anti-India activities. He also said that what has come to known as a string of pearls, he mentioned that in that particular speech, and about the nuclear weapons which China had deployed in Tibet. He also cautioned that India, which has been kind of not really taking this into seriously after 62 debacle, should work to ensure that this threat is somewhat tackled. Within 15 days of this speech by Sri George Fernandez, we had the Pokhran 2 test on 18th of May. And then Chinese took us seriously. Otherwise, till that time, they mentioned George Fernandez speaking something which was out of the diplomatic circle. And then, of course, there have been consistent efforts to try and have dialogue with China. There have been a lot of treaties, but of course the Chinese have not been ensuring that they live up to those treaties. And then, of course, recently we have seen a standoff for almost 4 years plus, which is going on in Tibet, the Ladakh standoff, and what we have had is casualties in Galwan sector. Are the Chinese wanting to build and become the superpower number one? Are they wanting to bully everybody? Because that is now what is worrying the whole world. And that is why the title talks about not just India, but the entire world. Because while India has taken certain amount of positions, it was the US and the Western countries which allowed Chinese to be the manufacturing hub, and thereby they got into all kinds of trouble when COVID happened, and subsequently even till now there are supply chain problems. And there is, of course, the Indo-Pacific, which has now become a very important issue. But is this how the Chinese would like to grow? Because I remember soon after 62, there was a movie in 63, and the actor was Marlon Brando. The movie was Ugly American. It talked about flexing muscles in Southeast Asia and how the Americans were losing face, diplomatically or otherwise. I hope the Chinese are not trying to repeat that kind of a mistake and what would come to be termed as ugly Chinese in the years to come. To this, many questions that we all have, and that's why this particular seminar, we have a number of sessions. Soon after the inaugural address by the CDS, we will have the first session between Mr. Jaydev Ranade and Nitin Gokhale talking about China's strategic agenda, and thereafter China's hybrid warfare, chaired by Air Marshal Soman, and the speakers are Group Captain Ajay Lele, Nitin Gokhale, N.C. Bipendra, and Dr. Kiran Karnik. Tomorrow, we start again at 10:30 with the first session as regional hotspots, chaired by Ambassador Gautam Bambawale, who was the former ambassador to China, Bhutan, and Pakistan. It will be participated by Mrs. Namrata Hasija, Colonel Nalin Heret, and Dr. Alvai Digbojo. After tea, there would be a roundtable which will be chaired by me, and the speakers are Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, Lieutenant General Kalita, who was the Commander, Eastern Army Command Chill recently, Vice Admiral Anup Singh, and Ambassador Gautam Bambawale. This will be followed by a valedictory session in which we will be listening to Dr. Shailendra Devlankar, and of course the three of us would try and sum up some of the things that we have heard in 2 days. I'm sure there will be enough time for chairs would give it for question answers, and we will welcome them. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Jaydeva Ranade, President, Center for China Analysis and Strategy, New Delhi, to address the gathering. Mr. Jaydev Ranade, President, Center for China Analysis and Strategy.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chancellor, Mr. Pro Vice Chancellor, Dean of the Department, Air Marshal Bhushan Gokhale, I think we all together are grateful and privileged that the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, is here with us at this important seminar where we are discussing China's rise. Ladies and gentlemen of the distinguished audience, what we hope to bring to you over the next 1.5 days are various facets of the challenges that China has thrown up for us. I think I would not be remiss in saying that India faces challenges not only on its land borders, but it's a diplomatic challenge and an environmental challenge that we are confronted with from China. And these will be discussed over the next 2 days. I'll invite your attention particularly to the last session, where we have literally a galaxy of speakers, participants from the different services and from our diplomatic service, who will be pushing the envelope in a sense and trying to look ahead as to what the future of India-China relationship would be, and trying to see what form and shape it would take. I have requested them to try and really push the envelope, not go way beyond the limits, but at least a little bit, so that we can start thinking out of the box. I would like to share with you that while this is the third session that we are having in Pune for the third year in a row, the effort of the Center for China Analysis and Strategy has been not to keep the study and discussion on China confined to Delhi, where we have enough people who are looking at geopolitical situation and scenarios, but to bring it outside Delhi to different parts of India. And Pune, I chose, one is my own personal bias, but apart from that, this is where we have a large number of retired armed forces officers, civil service officers, and a lot of intellectuals. Pune has been the hub, educational hub of India for many, many years. And our objective is not only to come here and discuss it, but also to try and involve the people of Pune, the intelligentsia which is here, in these discussions. We have been making efforts, and I think we made some headway, and you will notice that among the speakers there are people from here. Next time we hope to have even more. But I'll just say that we are not only tailoring our discussions to the military aspect, but we are looking at the strategic aspects which involve a whole dimension, a wide dimension of issues. And I think I'll just wait for the various panels to start their discussions and leave for you to judge. Let me end again by thanking you, General Chauhan, for coming here. I know that I had to twist your arm to get you here, but I am grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I request the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Professor Dr. Suresh Gosavi, to address the audience.
Namaskar, good morning. Honorable dignitaries sitting on the dais for this third strategic and security dialogue on rise of China and its implications for the world, which is organized by Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, Savitribai Phule Pune University, General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SM, VSM, Chief of Defense Staff. We have Air Chief Marshal Bhushan Gokhale, Mr. Jaydev Ranade, my colleague, Professor Parag Karkar, Professor Vijay Khare, dignitaries of the dais, Commandant of NDA, Commandant of CME, I could see Jain Umranikar sir, then our mentor, Padma Shri Pramod Kade, other officers and dear colleagues and friends. It's indeed a pleasure to welcome you on this beautiful campus of Savitribai Phule Pune University, which is second largest university in the state of Maharashtra. At one point of time, we are having 7.5 lakh students affiliated to us. Through our affiliated system, we have more than 1,200 institutes and colleges with us. It's the largest university. As far as the education is concerned in science and technology, we have been working in energy sector, environmental sector, and One Health sector. At the same time, cognitive science and complex system. As rightly mentioned, that Pune is known as education hub, IT hub, auto hub, and now it is taking a new identity as biomanufacturing and bioengineering hub, where in the department like chemistry, physics, and life sciences is deeply involved. As far as the ranking is concerned, on national ranking we are second largest in the state in the country. As far as the international ranking is concerned, Times Higher Education's groups and the QS ranking, we are in the bracket of 600 and 625. So as far as the internationalization of higher education is concerned, we are having a good rapport and cooperation with Melbourne University in Australia. We have been running BSc blended course since last 6 years, and with Drexel University in US, we are running a joint program where the students can carry out his or her first year at SPPU, and then for second year he or she can go and to US and then entitled to get the US degree. This is what we have been doing. Of course, the particular this third strategic dialogue focus on emergence of China and its implication on global secret environment, which is the first dialogue which was happened on the campus, and this is the third one, wherein the discussion and deliberation will take place in this seminar, which will be compiled in the form of book or booklets, and which will be submitted to the Defense, Ministry of Defense and POM office. With this brief note, once again I welcome you on this beautiful campus, and it's my pleasure to introduce you the chief guest for this, who will be giving the inaugural address, General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SM, VSM, is alumnus of the National Defense Academy, Khadakwasla. In infantry officer, he was commissioned into the 6th Battalion, the 11th Gorkha Rifles in June 1981 from Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. The general officers has operational experience encompassing the wide spectrum of conflicts and terrain profile all across the country. He commanded his battalion on the line of control and the breach in the northeast. He returned to the valley to command 19th Infantry Division and commanded a corps in the northeast. He was General Officer Commanding-in-Chief of the Eastern Command and later was appointed as Military Advisor to the National Security Council Secretariat. The General Officer's operational tenure has been interserved with prestigious professional military education courses and staff instructional assignment. He is a graduate of the SSC Wellington, Army War College, Mahu, and National Defense College, New Delhi. He has been an instructor in Bhutan, UN military observer in Angola, served on staff in a mountain division and army headquarters, and has also tenanted the appointment of Director General Military Operation. He was awarded MPhil degree from Madras University in 2012 and has authored 2 books, Aftermath of Nuclear Attack, History of 11 Gorkha Rifles Regimental Center. The General Officer has assumed responsibility of a Chief of Defense Staff on 30th September 2022. With this brief introduction, once again I welcome you, sir, on this beautiful campus and request you to deliver your keynote address. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SM, VSM, Chief of the Defence Staff, to deliver the inaugural speech.
Honorable Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, Dr. Suresh Goswami, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Parag Kalkar. We have Dr. Vijay Khare, Dean, Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, Air Marshal Gokhale, who is Director, Center for Advanced Strategic Studies, and Sri Jaydev Ranade. Distinguished members of the audience, amongst which I can see a large number of serving officers whom I have known, and those retired, who have been former postmates and colleagues. Friends from the media, students who've joined us today, either physically or on a virtual kind of mode, good morning to everyone. Let me begin by saying that as an ex-NDA, which was mentioned by the Chancellor himself, that it's always a happy moment to come back to Pune. It's because I find it not only nostalgic, but also invigorating and exhilarating. Besides the National Defense Academy, Pune is home to a large number of military and defense establishments. It's also home to the legacy of Maharaj Chhatrapati Shivaji, the valiant Marathas, and the fearless Peshwas, thus making Pune an actual epicenter of strategic cultural thought. I'm glad to be here in Pune. First of all, I want to express my deepest appreciation to Savitribai Phule Pune University's Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, Center for Advanced Strategic Studies Pune, and Center for China Analysis and Strategy for organizing this well-conceived seminar on China. Standing here within the premises of a premier educational institution and having been invited by a number of think tanks which are actually focused on China, I feel as a sense of duty and obligation to urge and exhort our scholars, business leaders, officers and policy makers to focus their attention on China, because its ambitions and shortcomings will, in my view, shape the nature of international environment for times to come. Napoleon purportedly had once said, "China is a sleeping giant. When she wakes, it will shake the world." That sounds prophetic and almost seems to be coming true. Today, the world stands at an important crossroad of history, where a significant shift is taking place in the global power dynamics, reflecting on Paul Kennedy's seminal work, The Rise and Fall of Great Powers, we are reminded of the cyclic nature of power and the intricate balance between military might and economic sustainability. The expansion of China's military capabilities and increasing strategic ambitions exhort us to reflect deeply on the world we aspire to live in. The pursuit of power without the grounding of ethical principles threatens not only the delicate balance of international relations, but also ideals like peaceful coexistence, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, non-interference, and mutual respect. All this that underpins the established norms of good international behavior. It's for that very reason that India's philosophy of Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world being one family, needs to be imbibed at a global stage. Ladies and gentlemen, when Mr. Jaydev Ranade persuaded me, or in his word, arm twisted me, to come to Pune actually, and asked me to deliver this inaugural address for this particular seminar, he left the topic of my subject, he said it open-ended. He said, you're the CDS, you can speak on anything what you like. And the seminar was on China, and that actually made my job very, very difficult. I was contemplating, I was in a dilemma as to what should I speak on. I could have spoken on future war, future warfares. I could have spoken on reforms which we are undertaking in the armed forces, because the post of CDS actually has been created for getting the armed forces to reform themselves. I could have spoken about military leadership, higher defense organizations. But then, of course, I settled down for something more contemporary for all of us. I thought I'll speak about a few challenges that I foresee that will affect our national security in times to come, and primarily because of another adversary. Then what I'll do is, after that, I'll articulate my views on two existential questions actually that are also in some way related to China, and that's the subject of the seminar. And why I'm doing so is because I'm an academic institution. I thought that I'll talk about two issues. What should be the strategic outlook of India, whether we should have a continental kind of an approach or a maritime approach, and the role of Air Force in future combat. I think that will make Air Marshal Bhosle very happy. Talking about challenges, let me begin by stating that we are all living in a very uncertain kind of world. The global geopolitics is in a state of flux. While some analysts may say that we are entering into an era of new Cold War, but others believe that the world order is entering into an era of global disorder. The established and recognized rules and maxims of diplomacy are fading away, and the new ones are emerging. Events are unfolding at a speed and pace that exceeds the ability of decision makers to react effectively. The fluidity of global dynamic mandates a paradigm shift in our comprehension of conflict and security. The emergence of new geopolitical actors and the proliferation of asymmetric threats blur the traditional boundaries between peace and war, necessitating an agile and adaptive response. The existing geopolitical uncertainty needs the reassessment of both strategic and tactical perspectives. Adapting to this uncertainty constitutes, in my view, one of the biggest challenges not only India faces, but the world faces at present. The second important challenge that we all face today is this rapid advancement in technology, or march of science and technology. Technology, in fact, affects everyone actually. It affects businesses, it affects production, it affects education, it affects the way we actually communicate. It then affects social behavior. No aspect of human life is untouched by it. Technology is advancing at an unparalleled kind of pace. The adoption of some of these emerging and disruptive technologies has the potential to significantly alter the dynamics of future conflicts. Some evidence and trends of this is visible in the ongoing conflicts in Europe and Middle East. Advancement in technology is also opening up new domains of warfare, apart from ushering in the warfighting in the traditional domains of land, sea, and maritime. So now we have space, cyber, and electromagnetic warfare. The intricate landscape of cognitive warfare is also fast emerging as a distinct domain to influence people and their governments. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, quantum computing, autonomous systems are reshaping combat actions across kinetic as well as non-kinetic domains. Integration of technology and developing capabilities in the emerging domain is thus a sine qua non for tackling any future threats. Preparing for above demands swift adoption of new technologies and adaptation of tactics, techniques and procedures, in short known as TTPs, to effectively engage this emerging complex kind of a landscape. While adoption and adaptation is important, equally important is discard of old practices, organizations and systems. I'll use a term known as creative destruction here, is hence becoming important before we attempt any kind of a creative creation. Before you create anything new, you've got to destroy something which is old. Over here, I'm reminded of what Captain Littleheart, the captain who taught journals, once spoke. He said, and I quote, "The only thing harder than getting a new idea into the military mind is getting the old one out." I think creative destruction must precede creative creation. As technology emerges as the new currency of power, there is a tendency of nations to deny it to competitors. Technology denial regimes existed in the past, but what now we are witnessing is a race to retain a technological edge. India cannot afford the emergence of a major technological gap between us and our immediate adversaries. That will be fatal for us. And this battle of this reducing or increasing technological gap has to be fought not only by soldiers, but academicians, scientists, and everyone as a nation together. The third important security challenge that we face today is the rising fragility, an outcome of political, economic, and social instability in our immediate neighborhood. India seems to be the only island of stability in a sea of turmoil, turbulence, and tumult. Political, economic, and social instability in countries in our immediate neighborhood, and you can, a number of them actually, I don't have to count them, make them vulnerable to foreign influence. Our adversaries in the past have taken advantage to it, thereby increasing India's vulnerability and security problems. That, I think, is a major security challenge. Lack of stable governance structures, effective law enforcement mechanisms can create safe havens for criminal activities, including narcotics, drugs, human trafficking, and arms smuggling. These activities not only undermine regional security, but also have the potential to destabilize our security environment. Instability in our immediate and extended neighborhood has to be seen in the light that India needs to expand its footprint to cover all those crucial gaps where other people can come and fill in, actually. It will not be India's long-term security interest that Chinese play a game of Chinese checker, or what they call as a game of Waiki or a game of Go in India's backyards. India aspires and must become the first responder and the preferred security partner in the Indian Ocean region. Increasing India's influence across the entire Indian Ocean region or part of the Indo-Pacific may be beyond the national capabilities of any one single nation. Hence, it is important that we work with nations who are like-minded and work in close cooperation and coordination with friends and partners in this particular endeavor. The fourth challenge, what we face today, is unsettled borders. The ancient frontiers of India started taking shape of firm borders under the British, but they could only get the legitimacy of international, they could not get the legitimacy of international borders. On independence, thus, we inherited disputed borders. Occupation of Tibet by China made them as a new neighbor, and the partition of India created a new nation that thrived on hostility and hatred towards us. Today, India has disputed borders with both her neighbors, Disputes followed by conflicts have led to the emergence of terms like line of actual control, line of control, and actual ground position line. The unsettled borders with China and the rise of China will remain the most formidable challenge that India and Indian armed forces will face in the foreseeable future. The armed forces need to maintain the legitimacy of our claims during peacetime on these disputed borders. This will require very astute handling of the PLA at all the friction points, calibrated firmness, and both sides to operate within the ambit of agreed rules of engagement. Like all disputed borders, there will be a tendency by the adversary to create new facts or markers, toponymy or cartographic aggressions, or to create a new narrative. This again will have to be countered collectively by all of us at all levels. That would include academicians, strategists, thinkers, students. Everyone has to do it together. Day before yesterday, at the India Today conclave, the External Affairs Minister said there is more to Sino-India relations than the border dispute. Similarly, in an increasingly interconnected world, Sino-India relations cannot be viewed in a binary kind of a perspective. The rise of China affects other nations as well, and we must look at like-minded nations for an equitable balance while remaining cognizant of the fact, as a popular idiom says, that one must be prepared to fight its own battles. Now let me share the two views which I spoke about at the beginning. This issues which have been debated for quite some time, whether India should have a maritime kind of an approach or a continental approach. The strategic outlook of any nation is shaped by geography and its historical experience. Those who do not understand geography are likely to be condemned by history. Geography impacts geopolitics, geoeconomics, and indeed strategic thinking of nations. In fact, in all these words, geopolitics, geoeconomics, geostrategy, geography precedes those particular words, signifying the importance of geography. Implications of geography on strategy has been a debate for the past 2 centuries. One of the most famous continental-centric thought process had been the heartland theory presented by a British geographer, John Halford Mackinder, in 1904 on Eastern Europe and Central Asia in his classic essay, Geopolitical Pivot of History. The theory attempted to challenge the prevailing thought process of maritime supremacy, which was articulated by thinkers such as Alfred Thayer Mahan through his work, The Influence of Sea Power Upon History, which was written in 1890s. Allow me to extend this particular debate between the continent and maritime into the Indian context. I believe that India is a continental power because of its huge landmass. We have a large population that is dependent on its survival on that very land and its livelihood. And by and large, we being an agrarian society, there exists a natural affinity for all of us for terra firma, that's the land. India is a continental power because geographically it's joined to the Asian landmass and theoretically from it to West Asia, Central Asia and onwards on to Europe, Eastern Europe and then to Europe. It's also connected to Southeast Asia. India is also a maritime power because of its peninsular shape, which is jutting out into the Indian Ocean, flanked by 2 island territories, which actually give depth to its mainland. And then in the Indian Ocean region, we are the only country of significance as compared to other littorals or other coastal states. The access to Indian Ocean region is restricted. If you start from the east, it's Malacca, Sunda, Lombok and Ambivatar. And if you look at west, it is Cape of Good Hope and Cape of Good Hope and Bable Mandab. So India predominantly enjoys an important place in this particular IOR as compared to other states, which I said. And historical evidence from the time of Cholas support this particular view, where our influence ran beyond the Indian Ocean region. India is home to 1.4 billion people, but unfortunately, it cannot exploit the advantage of the land bridge which it has, which I said earlier, to Central Asia or to Eastern Europe and then onwards to Europe. And that's because of this disputed boundary we have with the northern neighbor and with the western neighbor. Disputed land boundaries impinge upon sovereignty and territorial integrity. It cannot exploit the land connectivity towards east. We also cannot exploit the land connectivity towards the east because of perpetual problem in Myanmar. So that's again a challenge. So in fact, that makes India actually a kind of an island nation. And the only hope for India is towards the seas for the future. So India's future economic growth, it needs open seas and freedom of navigation. It cannot allow the sea routes to get blocked like the land routes. So as I said, India is a huge island nation, and while I believe our immediate threats and challenges will lie on the borders, which remain disputed, our destiny in the long term will lie in the seas. India must reinforce its preeminent position in the Indian Ocean region, a gift that has been given to us by geography. Indian Ocean region is a vital link between Europe, Middle East and Southeast Asia and the Indo-Pacific region, and hence its importance from the point of view of international trade. This issue is also important from the challenge that we face along our northern borders. The second issue I thought I'll put across for debate is the role of air power. I'll now shift my focus to the next viewpoint on the emerging role of air power in future combat and war, which again, in some extent, has a relevance to today's seminar. On the issue of air power, there are two issues that have dominated our debate. Firstly, is the use of air power so escalatory that and is that why it finds its use only in a full-scale war? India did not consider the use of air power in the 1962 war, thinking that it will escalate the situation further. And still we feel that most of us would think that use of air power is only relevant in a full-scale kind of a conflict. The second issue is air power most effective when it is used as an independent instrument or when it is used in coordination with other surface forces? Let me begin with the role of armed forces, including the Air Force in peacetime. I think the primary role of all the three services is to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. The concept of sovereignty in all the three domains is slightly different from each other. In land, if you look, I think the concept of sovereignty is absolute. If there is an infringement on land, there is a need to vacate that immediately. However, as far as the air is concerned, again the sovereignty is absolute in the air domain, but any intrusion is only of a temporary nature. Thereafter it goes away. Whereas in the seas or on the maritime domain, the concept of sovereignty is slightly nebulous because of the laws like UNCLOS, in which even men of war can travel through your territorial waters, citing innocent passage. So inside your own territorial waters. So this concept is slightly, what I said was nebulous in all the three services. But what happens when in the land borders there is constant intrusion in areas which are disputed, and similar kind of dispute or say intrusion start occurring in the air? Then in those disputed areas probably there will be a permanency that kind of a claim. So I think we'll have to rethink our role of Air Force in future to establish legitimacy of a claim in disputed areas. So it's not only a job of the land forces, but tomorrow the air forces would get involved into it. I'll again say this temporary nature of airspace intrusions, if continued with regularity over disputed areas, can be used by nations to legitimize their claims. With this, I think airspace, we must be entering into a new game with restricted employment and capability to ward off an adversary. The controlled and calibrated conflicts over land may find similar echoes in airspace in future. Let's see what's happening in the airspace domain by other countries. Aggressive actions like firing of flares by the Chinese aircraft, firing of lasers at personnel deployed in waters, again by PLAF, shooting down of altitude balloons by the US Air Force, or air encirclement drills around Taiwan are few such recent actions which are indicators how this zone is witnessing a new and interesting set of participations in the air domain, which again is less than a full-scale kind of a conflict. The third change what we are seeing is the use of space between what was traditionally known as air and space, that is the near space domain. The zone between air and space, termed as near space, is a continuum, has further increased the degree of complexity. In recent times, what we are witnessing is development of capabilities like high-altitude balloons, airships, high-altitude pseudo-satellites, hypersonic weapons, which are adding a new dimension to this particular threat. Another adversary has demonstrated capabilities in this field, and the enhancing envelope of airspace demands that we evolve as an airspace power to provide the right solutions to mitigate these challenges. The second aspect of this particular debate about air power was partly covered yesterday, a day before, in the India Today seminar in May when a question on this was thrown. I believe that the notion of air power of a nation is merely as a support arm is a conservative thought in the contemporary military affairs, and therefore will have to be put to rest. It's important to understand that Air Force is the only service that, apart from carrying out independent operations, can effectively support the operations of other two services, and the reverse is not true. Such is the lure of air power that the other two services and even paramilitary forces actually now aspire to have an air force of their own. And when they do so, most of them treat them as a part of their executive branch of fighting force. In conclusion, I would like to say that in today's geopolitical landscape, the stages of competition, crisis, confrontation, conflict, and combat coexist near simultaneously. This continuum necessitates a redefinition of conventional notions of security. It requires reviewing our priorities and deliberating our options while retaining our traditional beliefs for building a force which is future ready for every kind of eventuality. As we navigate through this uncertain and unpredictable era, it's paramount that we remain vigilant, agile, and forward-thinking. It would demand that we would embrace innovation, foster collaboration, and nurture a culture of excellence which can ensure that India stands resilient against evolving threats and emerge as a formidable force for maintaining peace and stability in the region. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I have reached the end of my address today. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you, sir. I request the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Dr. Parag Kalkar, to propose a vote of thanks.
Very good noon to all of you. On behalf of Savitribai Phule Pune University, Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, and Center for China Analysis and Strategy, we have just heard the keynote speech by General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UISM, AVSM, SM, VSM, and Chief of Defense Staff of the Indian Armed Forces on the occasion of third strategic dialogue on rise of China and its implications for the world. The dignitaries present today on the dais, Honorable Dr. Sushesh Gosavi sir, Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University, Mr. Jaydev Ranade, President, Center for China Analysis and Strategy, New Delhi, Air Marshal Bhushanji Gokhale, PVSM, AVSM, VM, Director of CDSS Pune, the brain behind this strategic dialogue, Dr. Vijay Khare sir, who is head of the Department of Defense and Strategic Studies at Savitribai Phule Pune University, dignitaries of the dais, Shri Jayant Umranikar sir, head of various defense establishments in Pune, senior officials from Indian defense field, armed force, expert from the defense, member of electronic and print media. Sir, your deeper insights into the challenges of future, about the national security, role of armed forces in the present geopolitical landscape, future technology and its impact, advanced and emerging technology and its impact on warfare, AI, ML, and autonomous system, insist on the integration of technology and creative disruption. Sir, your views and thought process has given this third strategic dialogue a different dimension for the forthcoming discussions and deliberation during these 2 days. We would like to thank you for your time and your guidance on this inaugural session. I would like to thank all the guests who are present for this strategic dialogue, and I wish this 2 days deliberation a best wishes. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Thank you, sir. We'll have a quick photograph on the dais with the dignitaries, the chairpersons and the speakers, as well as the important army dignitaries can quickly have a photograph here. Outside? Outside. So, mग सगळे सर एकच फोटोग्राफ म्हणतात. एकच फोटोग्राफ. There is high tea also, so like I said, the dignitaries can continue with the high tea later, but a quick photograph.